In the quaint town of Ravenswood, there stood an antique shop on the edge of a narrow, winding street. The shop, curios of the past, was filled with old treasures, forgotten relics, and odd trinkets. Among the myriad of items was a small, porcelain doll, delicate and well-preserved. Her glassy blue eyes sparkled unnervingly in the dim light, and her golden curls framed her face, which held a peculiar, lifelike expression. Her name was Emily. For years, Emily had sat untouched on a dusty shelf in the back of the shop, waiting for someone to take her home. Many people had admired her from afar but felt uneasy when they got too close. There was something about her, something off that couldn't be explained, as if those painted lips were hiding secrets and her cold eyes were watching your every move. One day, a young couple, Sarah and Tom, wandered into the shop, looking for items to furnish their new home. Sarah's eyes immediately fell on Emily. "She's perfect," she whispered, captivated by the doll's strange beauty. The shopkeeper, a frail old man with a knowing look in his eyes, hesitated. "That doll, she's not like the others," he warned. "Many who've taken her didn't keep her for long." Sarah laughed, brushing off the warning. "It's just a doll. What harm could it do?" Against the shopkeeper's advice, they bought Emily and placed her on a mantelpiece in their bedroom. That night, as the couple lay in bed, the room seemed colder than usual. The wind outside howled, and the old house creaked. Sarah swore she could hear soft, faint footsteps, but Tom assured her it was just the house settling. The following morning, Sarah found Emily not on the mantel but on the floor, face down. "She must have fallen during the night," Tom suggested, but Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Days passed, and the strange occurrences became more frequent. At night, Sarah would wake up to odd noises, whispers, rustling fabric, and that same unnerving sound of light footsteps. Emily's position would change frequently. Sometimes she was sitting at the foot of the bed, other times on a chair across the room. Tom remained skeptical, brushing off Sarah's concerns, but the unease in the air grew thicker with each passing night. One particularly stormy evening, Sarah woke with a start. Thunder rumbled in the distance, and lightning illuminated the room for brief, flickering moments. The air felt heavy, suffocating, and Sarah's heart raced as her eyes darted toward the mantel. Emily was gone. Panic washed over her as she scanned the room. And then, in the corner, she saw her, Emily, standing, her tiny porcelain feet barely touching the ground. Her head tilted ever so slightly to the side, her unblinking blue eyes locked on Sarah's. Frozen in fear, Sarah tried to scream, but her voice caught in her throat. The doll began to move. Slowly, deliberately, Emily's limbs, stiff with age, cracked as she stepped forward. The soft patter of her tiny feet echoed louder and louder in Sarah's ears. The doll's face, once so innocent, now wore a twisted, malicious grin. Her painted lips moved as if speaking, but the words were nothing Sarah could understand, dark, ancient whispers that chilled her to the bone. Sarah felt her body lock up, paralyzed with terror as Emily climbed onto the bed. The doll's cold, porcelain hand reached out, brushing against Sarah's cheek. The touch was like ice, and Sarah's skin burned with a freezing sting. Just as Emily's small hand gripped her throat, Sarah let out a blood-curdling scream, waking Tom. He bolted upright, turning on the light, but by then, Emily had returned to her spot on the mantel, her face expressionless once again. "I swear, she was here," Sarah cried, her hands shaking. But Tom was losing patience. He dismissed it as a nightmare, insisting she was letting her imagination get the best of her. But Sarah knew the truth. The following night, determined to get to the bottom of the mystery, Sarah set up a camera in the bedroom to record while they slept. If Tom wouldn't believe her, she'd have proof. They went to bed as usual, but Sarah barely slept. The house was eerily silent, and every creak made her flinch. Hours passed, and nothing happened. But just as Sarah was starting to relax, she heard it again, the soft footsteps. Her heart pounded in her chest as she turned her head toward the camera, praying it would catch whatever was happening. And then, there she was, Emily, moving again, her tiny feet slowly dragging across the floor. Sarah couldn't believe her eyes. The doll approached the camera, and for a moment, it seemed as though she was staring directly into it, as if she knew she was being watched. Suddenly, the camera flickered and went black. Sarah screamed for Tom, who jumped out of bed. They both raced to the camera, but it had shut off completely. Trembling, Sarah rewound the footage, and there it was, the doll, walking on her own, inching closer and closer to the camera until everything went dark. That was enough. Sarah and Tom packed their things and fled the house that night, leaving Emily behind. But the story didn't end there. Weeks later, the new homeowners found the house abandoned, still filled with the couple's belongings. As they explored, they found a single item left on the mantelpiece, a small porcelain doll with glassy blue eyes and a lifelike expression that seemed to shift when no one was looking. Her name was Emily. And she was waiting.